This is Orbital Nonsense,
a podcast about space magic.
I'm Lily, a witch and an astrologer.
And I'm Veda. I'm just here to ask stupid questions.
Hello, welcome to this podcast. I'm Lily. I'm a witch and an astrologer. I am currently starting my business. Actually, by the time this airs, my business might be finally online. Who are you?
Well, we've known each other for a long time.
Yes.
10
years?
Yeah, about 10 years, probably a little bit longer than that now.
Yeah.
I'm shady on the details. I think it's funny because I think that when we first met, we were both atheists, and we were atheists for the same amount of time. And then we both went through our spiritual awakenings also at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. That is correct.
Right. And so you went hard left into astrology, and I went hard right into mediumship development.
Mm-hmm.
And both of us have been doing that ever since, although you also do some of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I am not smart enough to know all the complexities of astrology, and I'm not even trying.
I don't think it's because you're not smart enough, though.
I mean,
you are very smart.
But astrology, space magic's so fucking complicated.
Yeah, that is true.
It's like stupidly so.
Yeah. Accurate.
So I don't even try. But that's why I have 1,000 stupid questions for you, though.
Yeah. We met online. We met via Facebook. 10-ish years ago, I guess. And we're like acquaintances for quite a while. And then we became close friends when we both had our spiritual awakening. And basically, it was your fault that I had my spiritual awakening. Because you started,
really?
Yes, you got me back into tarot because you started getting back into tarot. And then I was like, oh yeah, I did that when I was a teenager and it was kind of cool. I kind of want to do that again. And then it, like, all the woo-woo stuff came crashing back in.
Sure. So. Okay, that's fair. But that also means that it's Chris's fault for both of us.
Yes, that is accurate. So do you want to tell the audience who Chris is, or do you want me to? Just briefly, I guess.
Okay, well, I could never briefly say who Chris is.
Fair.
Chris so Chris is deceased.
Yes.
Let's start there.
A dead friend.
Friend, right.
Yes.
Chris was a partner of mine who died. And I've had a lot of grief in my life. So I don't know why it was Chris's death specifically that made me spiral into like spiritual awakening, because I've been through many a death as a total atheist. While still having mediumistic like experiences with them that I did not like call them that way. However, one of the things that I did to deal with Chris's death specifically is I bought the same tarot deck that he used to use. And then, because I'm an art nerd, I went from like not having tarot decks. I had one when I was in high school as well. So we have that in common.
Yeah.
But as an adult, like I went from having just the one that he used, just as a grief thing, to all of a sudden having like 10 because like art is cool. And then I was like, oh, if somebody owns 10 tarot decks, they should learn how to use them.
Maybe.
And then there's like a big longer story there, but hyper fixation, yada yada blah blah. And then after I think a couple of years I started teaching, or after a year, I can't remember when I started teaching.
I think it was about a year.
Right. Which sounds really soon unless you are an autistic person with hyperfixation.
Exactly. I was gonna say we should probably mention we are both neurodivergent. So both probably ADHD,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
autistic and ADHD. So yeah, you had a hyperfocus, which is similar to me with astrology. Like I haven't actually done astrology for that long. Has it
You
been
have
like
now. You have now.
three years, four, maybe
Uh,
five-ish? Okay. See,
well, I'm
I'm
coming up on
bad with
years for mediumship, so
okay, well, yeah, then it might be around that. But like I learned it ridiculously quickly because I also had a hyper focus on it. And I just did nothing else for a year, basically, and
right.
just studied astrology. So
And also, you already had like a massive head start because you spent your entire childhood hyperfixated on mythology,
that is true. Yes.
which most astrology shit is based on mythology. So if
Yeah.
you already have this massive background in that,
Yeah,
then
that is true. Which is still my approach basically to astrology a lot of the times is still through the stories of mythology. I reference mythology
sure.
a lot. So
You also channel that shit for sure.
yeah, yeah, I probably do. Yeah.
You usually argue that with me. So that's
I
fine.
mean, yeah. I'm starting to accept that a lot of the stuff I do is channeled and or intuition. Yeah, should we mention just briefly that I'm German and you're American in case
Oh, sure.
people wonder about possible accents, although you keep telling me I don't have an accent.
I don't, so it's not that you don't have an accent, it's that you don't really have a particularly German accent.
Okay, fair.
But more than that, you don't have German energy.
Do you want to explain what that is?
No. I do not want to offend anybody. I should preface that. So that makes it sound like German energy is bad. German energy is not bad. It is just specific.
Mhm,
And I have a lot of German friends that I really deeply love. So I don't
mhm.
mean that. And they all have like pretty hardcore German energy. And your Dutch spouse
My
has
Dutch
very
spouse has German energy, and
German
we love
energy
my Dutch spouse. So,
for sure.
yeah, I don't know why I don't have German energy. It's a
I
myth.
don't either, but you don't. I am technically American. I have
Technically
uh,
non-practicing.
non-practicing, absolutely not practicing. I have not lived in America for 15 or 16 years,
Hmm.
something like that. And we'll never go back. At this point, I won't even visit. So like,
Yeah,
um, I have lived in Scotland for the majority of that time. So,
yeah.
which is normally cold, and I'm normally complaining about the cold, but we're in a heat wave right now.
I would love to be cold all the time. I hate the heat. So here's a funny thing about this dynamic between the two of us. We are freakishly similar in a lot of things. And then there's a few things where we are complete opposites.
Yeah,
So, which is
I am the sun.
super fascinating. Yes. And
I
I
would live
love
on the surface of the sun if I could.
and I want to live in Antarctica, preferably.
Stupid. I don't even like hearing about that, but okay. I mean, you do you, but I gross.
Yeah, I think last thing important to mention is that we are very queer, we are very feminist, so this is going to be a very gay podcast.
I
And
have
a
gay
lot of the
questions.
questions that you have, I think I don't know any of the questions, but they're probably going to be very gay. Do you want to explain how like what this is actually about, or do you want me to?
Right. So I have three questions for
Mhm.
today, and only one of them is pretty gay.
I mean,
So we're one third queer question.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Um, two, because one of them is based off of someone that's a queer friend. But it's not a queer question anyway.
Fair.
Um, I've, I think for as long as, so I am somebody that always has questions.
Hmm.
I can always come up with questions for fucking everything from very stupid to mildly scholastic.
Mildly scholastic. I like that description.
And so for as long as you've been like diving deep into astrology, I'm like, I can help you by asking you a ton of questions. And so
Hmm.
I have been asking you the most random fucking questions
Uh-huh.
since the beginning,
Uh-huh.
which culminated in the last time we were in the same like actual physical space of each other.
Hmm.
You were here visiting, and the taco reading came up. So please explain.
Okay. So, as I've mentioned before, I'm German. We do not have proper tacos in Germany. We don't have proper Mexican food in Germany because we're German and we don't do spices. I guess. I do, but my fellow Germans do not. So we were sitting like in an actual restaurant. We had done some shopping and we were eating a burrito, and I mentioned that I had never had a proper taco and I never had Taco Bell specifically.
Okay, I'm gonna pause really quick because taco
Uh-huh.
like by no means authentic. So I'm just gonna like do some due diligence really quick.
Uh-huh.
So basically, so I live in Glasgow. We were in Glasgow during
Mhm.
this, and um, I am incredibly skeptical about the Mexican food here. And there's one place that's really good, but they're hardly ever open. And
Mhm.
so there's another place that's like second tier. I still call it the place with the fake burritos, but it's like it's pretty good. Like it's pretty good.
Yeah, we're good.
So we were there. I don't know if I should drop their name or not, but anyways, we were there,
Uh-huh.
and you were enjoying your burrito, and I was talking about how one thing I don't really miss very much about America, and anything that I do miss about America is not about America; it's about Mexico. But one thing that is kind of more about America is every time I'm sick, I crave Taco Bell. And you were like, I have never had Taco Bell. So
and
that,
that and that blew your mind.
yeah, that's weird.
So you checked if they delivered to your place, right? And they did. So we had
I
Taco
mean,
Bell delivered.
I knew they did. But I
Yeah.
was like, okay, since we can't go to the good place,
Yeah.
we can definitely have Taco Bell
Yeah.
delivered. So
Yeah.
we had that planned and we knew what day we were going to do it. And I don't
Uh-huh.
think it was the next day either. I think we were going to like a castle the next day or something. But
Yeah.
we knew
Yeah.
when we were going to go,
Yeah. Yeah.
when we were going to have Taco Bell.
Yeah. And then we had Taco Bell, and that blew my mind because I had never tasted anything quite as good as that taco. I proposed to my burrito to
Infinite.
be. Yes. Uh, um, yeah. So, and then you, for whatever reason, that is,
So I asked you if you could look at your chart and look at the
yeah,
transit of the day and
yeah,
see why that specific day was the first day ever that you were gonna
yeah,
like experience a taco.
yeah.
And you
So
could.
I could. I went into my chart. Like it was one of those questions that was silly, but also like 10% not silly. So I want to say, so, so I did go into my chart and I checked. And um, one thing to know about the way I do astrology, I use a lot of asteroids. Like the more common ones, obviously, in basic chart readings, but also it's very fun to play around with the like 10,000 plus, I think, asteroids that there are.
I love the uncommon asteroids because you
Yeah.
never know what
Uh-huh.
is going to have an asteroid,
Yeah.
right? So I did
Yeah.
one of my questions actually. I've checked to
Uh-huh.
see if there's a specific asteroid. So
Yeah. So, I didn't really see anything in my like plane birth chart and my plane transits, which I mean, obviously I didn't. But then I checked if there was an asteroid called Taco, and indeed there is. And it was in my first house. It was transiting through my first house on that day. So I was like, I can actually kind of see that today would be the day that I would have my first taco ever. And this incident basically
oh,
birthed.
we're not done.
We're
Do
not
you
done. Okay.
do you remember where Taco was in your natal chart?
I don't.
Okay. I actually don't remember where it was in your natal chart either, but I remember where it was in my natal.
Oh, yeah, it was in your fourth, right?
No, it was in my 10th house of life purpose.
Oh, right. That's right.
And it was
Yes.
transiting my second house of resources.
Yes. Right. Okay.
I thought both of those were hilarious.
Yeah, that we laughed a lot about the 10th house life purpose taco.
It's accurate for me, to be honest.
Fair. But yeah, so then that basically spawned the idea for this podcast. So this is what we're going to do in this podcast. You come up with more or less silly questions. Um, Sometimes they might be serious questions, sometimes they might be incredibly silly, like the taco question.
Right. But
um,
the thing that I really want to do and what that we've done this time is you don't know what I'm going to ask you.
no, this is the point. So like I never know beforehand what you're gonna ask me. So you, the audience, will get to watch first of all my reaction to the possibly very silly question, and then watch me figure out how to actually see that in a chart, if I can see it in a chart, how to answer that question. It might not always be a question where I actually have to check a chart. It might just be questions that I can just explain. But also, yeah, I don't know because I don't know the questions.
Right. And my interest in astrology is such that, like, I remember what I remember, but I don't try very hard to remember everything. That's what you were for. um, and so, like, I'm interested and I ask a lot and I maybe retain some of that information, but sometimes I also ask just like incredibly beginner um, questions because, for example, I never remember. I've looked it up 1,000 times. I never remember what like half of the lower half of the houses are for. Like I always remember the first house and the second house, and I think the third house has to do with writing because I think I looked at that. Or it's just
Communication.
communication, right? Okay,
Communication.
that's it. And then the other ones I ask every single time.
Yeah, I know.
So, um, so
I
I'm definitely not the expert. You are the expert.
I am always prepared that whenever you ask me a question about your chart or your transits and something is happening in the lower half of the chart, I will immediately add an explanation again, like what that house is about, because
Yeah.
I know you keep forgetting.
But
This
also,
sounds like I'm very condescending. I don't mean this in a condescending way. I just
I don't
know
really
you very
try.
well.
But also in this podcast, it should be very listenable to people that don't know anything about astrology because you'll just answer in the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Okay, you
I'll
ready?
try to explain in a way that even someone who doesn't know anything about astrology will understand. So,
You ready? You ready?
okay. Yeah, you want to ask me the first
Yeah.
question? Okay.
So the first question is inspired by one of my London BFFs, Alex, who you also know,
Uh-huh.
and who is also
He
extremely
better listen to this, huh?
he'll listen because we're mentioning him, but he's pretty anti-woo. So
Oh.
it'll be really funny if like you can uh,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm accepting the challenge right now.
Okay. So something about Alex is he works as a merch queen for some traveling musicians. And so often when I see him, it's because he messages me on the day and is like, hey, I'm in Glasgow in 4 hours. Do you want to like meet me here or whatever?
Uh-huh.
And I am very disabled and like don't work and prioritize rest in my life. And so almost always I can do that because I'm like, well, my plan was to lay in bed and rest today. So, I guess I can go meet you for a meal on a free gig. So, um, okay, so that's the background on that. But the last time he was here, I thought of this question. I've been holding on to it ever since.
Okay.
So, okay. So, is there a way that you can like look at my chart and like see ahead of time when I'm going to have an Alex encounter?
Mm, interesting.
Wheels are turning.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I mean, obviously, the easiest thing would be to check if there's an asteroid called Alex.
Okay,
And
spoilers, there is one.
okay,
And I have the number for it written down as well.
okay. So I would probably then actually have to go back to whenever he was there and
Okay.
check if there's like a where that asteroid is. But before I do that,
Okay.
I want to see if I can see in like without the Alex asteroid because that's
Okay.
like that feels like cheating, right?
Sure. Sure. Okay. I have also written down, so I wrote down the last day that he was here.
Mm-hmm.
And I did look at, so obviously, like, I know who he works for.
Yeah.
And so I did look to see if any of the people that he works for have posted dates coming up. And
Uh-huh.
so I have two possible ish dates upcoming.
Okay.
Like not notified me. And he also is not always on tour with these people. Like one of them he kind of would. But anyways,
Yeah.
so do you want to try to find it without knowing? So I'm definitely not going to give you the second two dates because I want you to like go and look for them.
Yeah, yeah.
You want to look and see if you can tell without knowing the first date, the one that's already happened, or do you want me to like tell
Uh
you?
give me the date that already happened.
Okay.
Okay, so give me the date, please, that he last
So
visited.
Alex was last here on May 21st.
May 21st. I pulled up Veda's chart and the transits for the day that Alex, the friend, last visited. Okay, let's see what's going on here transit wise. So the moon is sort of something that I'm looking at because moon is, emotions and he's your friend and you share emotions. And also the moon is the fastest moving one. So it's easiest to actually determine a specific day by the moon, obviously, because the moon changes signs and houses so frequently. And everything else is moving way slower. So with every other planet, it would be harder to pinpoint a certain day. So sixth house moon, yeah, that's sort of disruption to your everyday life. The sixth house represents your boring stuff, is
Okay.
what I always call it. So like routines and chores and everyday work life and all of those things. And the moon popping in there, bringing like a little bit of brightness and a little bit of sparkle, which is very Alex.
That's right, Alex, yes.
So we're gonna hold on to that position. What aspects does the moon actually have? Let's see. Okay. This is interesting too. Um, the moon has a sextile with Mercury, and Mercury is the communicator. And you two will probably be doing a lot of talking whenever
Oh yeah.
Alex is visiting. That will basically be the main event.
Yeah. We just straight up mind meld.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
good.
So this is also, we're also going to keep that in mind.
Okay.
The rest is not super. Oh, but also, oh, obviously, like the moon is also sitting on top of your natal Mercury, though.
Oh,
So
okay.
this to me is the most interesting one.
Okay.
Because of the like communicative dynamic that the two of you have.
Yeah.
Um, so that's communication and emotion. You're talking about relationships and feelings and um intuition and like all the things and all of that in this context of like everyday life. You share what's going on in your lives, and those are the times when you update each other on what's going on in your lives. So I'm liking that.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense.
Let's see if there's anything else. Although, like, I'm pretty confident in just sticking with that part.
Okay. Little bonus question to this.
Mm-hmm.
He was also traveling through with Grace Petrie, so I got to see her play, which I always
Awesome.
enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that was a particularly emotional show this time,
Okay.
just
Mm-hmm.
because, I mean, she does like some brilliant political activism songs. Um, and that was very much the case this time. And I obviously have like a lot of feelings about what's going on politically at
Yeah.
the minute. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Again, that is reflecting the moon, but it's also this entire situation here in your sixth house. Like all of that is very emotional. Like Neptune is like the spiritual side of our emotions and like the dreams and the more like woo woo part. um, Ceres is about relationships. Saturn is about um how we restrict ourselves in relationships and how we break out of those barriers, right? So yeah, all of that fully makes sense to me.
okay, cool.
So now technically I should be able to, let's put this 2 weeks. So this is my space-time navigator, and with this I can move the chart forward or backward in whatever way I want. And basically, I'm now going to move it to where the moon is approximately in the same spot. Um, and then obviously we also have to consider. So now this would be the moon in the same spot, but Mercury's in a trine and not a sextile. So that feels further away. That would be the 17th. Wait, this month? Last month.
Last one.
Last month. Did I mention I'm very bad with time? So let's just move it
Okay.
another month forward. Obviously, the moon takes about a month to travel the entire chart. So, okay, where's Mercury? Mercury is not even in this one. So I'm going with no. So let's go forward one more. Okay. And again, Mercury is not in any aspect though. So I'm gonna go forward till the end of the year.
Okay.
And see if I can make a prediction off of that. And if I can't, then I will check the asteroid,
Okay.
basically, is my plan.
Okay.
And again, Mercury is, oh no, Mercury is in opposition this time. So it could be around that time, but it would be a very different dynamic. So
Okay.
if it's at the like around September 7th.
I don't have one around that time.
Okay. That does not surprise me because it's an opposition. So just
Right.
briefly for those who don't know shit about astrology. Also, yes, I'm gonna swear a lot in this podcast. I'm very sorry. I cannot help it. Um, um, an opposition is more of a tug of war or like a tugging and a pulling type of energy, or even like a seesaw kind of energy. It's opposites. So it's very different from the energy of a sextile that is very flowy and very close and very beneficial and very communicative, actually, ironically. So let's see. We're in October. I'm going to do November and December. And if I can't find it in there, then I'm going to move on to the asteroid. Oh, okay. And there Mercury is in a trine again. So it might be around the end of November.
Okay.
Do you have a date around that time?
No.
Okay. I also want to say though that with predictive astrology, it's always a little bit I'm a little bit like it's fun to play around with it, but I'm a little iffy about it because it's always about potential and not so much about like I can actually predict the future.
Okay, yeah,
So,
that's true. But also, you did down to the day predict when we would get our puppy
yeah,
before
that is
we even
correct.
actively started looking for her.
Yeah, that is true.
So,
Um, so yeah, now this is December, so this is the last one I'm gonna check with this specific constellation, if you can call it that. But again, it's a square, and the square is like the mini opposition. So again, it's a very different type of energy. So probably no.
and that's a no, right?
Okay. Yeah. Well, okay then. Let's go and find the asteroid named Alex. Oh no, there it is.
Yep, there it is.
Asteroid called Alex. May 21st, was it?
May 21st. Yep.
Was the last time he visited. Okay.
Yep.
Let's go back to that date and find the asteroid. I always have to click on them because the asteroids only appear in this little star symbol. There he is. Okay. So
Just crossed into the first.
yeah, he's in your 12th. Let's see how
Oh,
fast he moves.
okay.
Oh, he's decently slow. So yeah, he's in your 12th.
Why is okay? Sorry, you can explain.
It fully makes sense to me because the 12th house is about all the things that are really deeply us. It's all about like mental health issues are the 12th house. The
Yeah.
secrets we keep are the 12th house. Our deepest intuitions and like the deepest, most hidden parts of ourselves are the 12th house. And Alex is like one of your closest, if not the closest friend you have.
He does know lots of my secrets. So he is one of those friends that's really funny because we'll go a long time without like seeing each other or sometimes even talking to each other about like when we're in the same place, it's just immediate mind meld.
Yeah.
So
So that fully makes sense that
um,
he would be in your 12th house. Now, because it's so slow moving, I'm also gonna look at the aspects, right? So it's interesting that it was opposite the situation that we've already talked about. So that is interesting. Again, the opposition is like the tug of war or the seesaw, the push and the pull kind of energy. Um, which also makes sense because all of this can be extremely heavy,
mm,
and Alex is not.
no,
Alex is like very light and brings comfort to you.
yeah.
So,
He is just glitter and joy anyway. So
yeah. Yes. So
to me,
that makes sense. But look at this. It still has this trine to transiting Mercury. So it's still all about, I wasn't super far off. It's still about communication
sure.
and like you say at the mind meld, right? That's still visible with that trine to Mercury.
Okay.
Um Also Black Moon Lilith, feminine, dark feminine power. You're both you both have that. A lot of that.
Yeah.
And also like with Pluto, the trine with Pluto is very like um it's all about depth, baby. Like
Fair.
you always go deep. You don't have shallow small talk or
True.
something like that. So that makes sense. Okay, now let me move this forward and see. Okay, it is very slow moving. So I'm mostly just gonna look at the aspects because like houses or signs is not gonna change
Okay.
for quite a while. Again, I'm mostly actually gonna look at Mercury. So this was just 2 weeks ago, I think.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Um, did you have anything with him around that time?
No, I did not.
It doesn't necessarily have to be like physical contact because the sextile is also a smaller, like less
Yeah.
energetically
I don't
important.
think I don't think I talked to him
Okay.
in that time.
Okay. Yeah, so also that aspect went on for a while, right? So it's basically this entire month, right? So it could be a thing of you're still gonna like that is still in effect. You're
I
still
mean,
gonna hear
I'll message
from
him
him.
tomorrow and tell him we did this. So.
Yeah, see? So this might cue like a deep conversation about his distrust in all the woo-woo. Actually, it might because also look at this, like it's sitting right on top of your natal moon and Pluto situation right here.
Okay.
So maybe he will be so convinced by my abilities that this will overthrow his entire views on the woo-woo and he will become one of us.
Maybe. I will say that I won't like tell him anything that came up in this until he listens to it. So
Yeah, he's
I mean,
supposed
I'll
to
tell him
listen
that
to
we
it.
did it, but I won't tell
Yeah.
him what it's.
Yeah. Okay, so that's interesting. And then it basically moves back into that same-ish sextile. So it's 11th house and first house. So the asteroid has moved into your first house by then. And also 11th house is literally the house of friendship and community.
Okay. So when is that?
Well, let's see when that is um starting August 28th.
Okay.
Um, but let's see how long it actually lasts. Oh, it's a short one. Okay, it's just like a couple of days. That's good. Actually, if oh yeah, it's literally a week.
Okay.
So
So,
September 3rd is the last day of it.
right. So I okay. So Alex is usually in Edinburgh for Fringe, and I sometimes see him and talk to him while he's there, and sometimes I don't because I really hate Edinburgh and I don't ever go. And I
Uh-huh.
especially don't go to Edinburgh during Fringe, but Alex loves Fringe. Um, so sometimes I see him after he leaves there.
Okay.
Uh, I know that Grace, again, who he works for, is I'm pretty sure is in Edinburgh for like most of Fringe.
She usually is, right?
Right. I don't know what his plans are to like work with her or like what he's planning on doing, but so that is like a maybe. All of the future ones are maybes because
Sure.
I never know ahead of time. But
But okay,
that's interesting.
so we got a first sort of prediction. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. A
Let's see
little
if
bit late for Fringe, but not impossible.
okay,
Yeah.
fair. Let's see if we can find the second one. Oh, this is interesting again because now Alex has entered the trine to your natal Mercury too. So I'm not making predictions of that, but
Mhm.
but if transiting and transiting Mercury is um gonna hang on um be right next to, let's see when that is closer. I'm gonna laugh so hard if you're actually gonna see him when it's like an exact conjunction. So let's do this. So like mid-October, October 15th. Maybe it's October 14th or October 16th.
Okay. That is not one of the dates that I have written down, but that doesn't mean he's not. Sometimes he's very tricksy and he pops up out
You
of
should you should write that date down though, because when that date
nowhere.
comes and
Okay.
you'll
We
get a
can
message
reconvene.
and Alex messages you, I'm gonna be so ha in Alex's face.
Well, also sometimes he works for people that I don't know that he's working for. So
Sure. Yeah.
I only checked the people that like I remember. Um,
Yeah.
so
Fair. I want to see if I can find like one more. Oh, Mercury is also going to go retrograde and go right back into that conjunction. Look at that. Okay. So it might also be mid-November.
no.
God damn. So, November 22nd.
Nope.
I want to see if there's another sextile or trine
Okay.
this year with the asteroid.
Um, and then once you do that, I'll tell you the date to go back to.
Yes. Yes, please. Oh, I don't think there's gonna be. Yeah, no, there's not another, not this year, and I don't want to go too far into the future because that
Okay.
is
Yeah, I didn't want you to go past this year.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Okay. So
okay, so give me the dates.
okay. So I already gave you the Fringe one. So the Fringe one you got like a maybe on.
Yeah. Which
Um
one was that?
that was the one in August. But that's 50-50. Like I don't always see
Yeah.
is there for I have like a more
I
probable.
mean, I mean, I feel like especially with this situation, like the asteroid Alex sitting right on top of your natal moon and Pluto, I'm almost certain that like if you're not gonna actually meet up, at least you're gonna have like some very deep conversations around that time.
That's at the end of the first week of August.
Yes.
August 6th-ish.
Yeah, August
Okay.
6th-ish. But like it might be even like up to a week before that or a couple of days after that.
Okay. Good to know. Um, Also, so the date that I really want you to look at
Mm-hmm.
is September 24th.
Okay. September 24th. Let's do it. I mean, uh the moon and Alex are almost in an exact conjunction right here.
Okay.
Um that happens decently frequently though because the moon is so fast moving. So that's going to happen several times within this
Sure.
year. So it's not a super like good placement to actually make a prediction on. Um what else? I don't super see anything in your other transits. Oh, I mean, there's also this sextile with like Venus sitting on top of your natal Jupiter,
Oh,
um, in your 11th house of friendship, right?
right.
And it's art related. You are
Yeah.
both um art artsy people, and
And that'll be
Jupiter,
Grace as well.
yeah.
Again.
Okay, so yeah, that tracks. And Jupiter is expansion and luck and joy and all those things. So yeah,
And
I couldn't predict it, but knowing the date, I can see it. And also,
sure.
there's the trine to your natal Mercury. So again, we have the mind meld and the communication.
Also, both him and the moon are in my second house, and I do know
Mhm.
that that's resource.
Yes, 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 and that friendship is literally a resource for
Yeah.
you and has been in the past.
So
Yeah,
we can move on to the next question if you would like.
yeah, sure. Hit me.
So, my second question is, so I know that you can see like sexuality and gender in somebody's natal chart, but I was wondering today if you can also see the complications to those, like compet and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And part of so that's like the main
Mm-hmm.
question, but the follow up to that go
Mm-hmm.
with that
Mm-hmm.
is so I on my own sexuality, I know that whenever you look at my chart, you're like, this is stereotypical lesbian chart. I've never seen a chart that's more lesbian than this.
Uh-huh.
However, and I agree with that. I think that I'm definitely a lesbian, and I think it's shocking that I have dated as many men as I have. That is frankly stupid. But sometimes I internally go back and forth um, with whether that is because I genuinely started out as bisexual, but men just sucked up all of the energy that was ever going to exist for them. And now there's none left. And now I'm just like, oh my God, I don't even want another man to exist in the same sphere as I do ever again.
I mean, yeah.
Or if you can see compet and I go back and forth. So I'd be really open to either one, but I'd be curious if you could see either of
Uh,
them.
I actually love this question because it gives me permission to actually experiment with that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So, so
I have
I'm
a gender sub question too. Do you want it now or do you want to wait?
let me check the sexuality stuff first and then we'll do gender. But both of those I'm very grateful for you to let me like experiment with this stuff because I would never go into a person's chart and look at that kind of stuff without them actually asking me that question because that is A, none of my fucking business, and B, it's just not my place to go and tell someone, well, your chart says that you are actually a cis person. So,
Right. Well,
right?
meanwhile,
So
let's pull it up in a public forum and discuss ad nauseum.
yes. So this is great. I love this. Okay.
Fantastic. Let's do it.
So, first of all, when I look at sexuality, I mostly look at these houses. So basically, fifth to eighth house are sort of the sexuality houses. I mean, they're not just that. Astrology is fucking complex and complicated. They are more than just that. But I use those whenever I look at sexuality. So, very briefly, the fifth house is like the fun part about sexuality, like the kind of like affairs you might have, or one night stands, or the sex that you have just for fun. Right?
Sure.
It's not that deep. It's not,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Then the sixth house sexuality is the kind of sexuality that you have when you're sort of in a rut, when you're like the sex you do every day with the same partner that can be sometimes a little bit boring.
Is
And
that you have with yourself there?
um mm,
I
it
mean, not that the sex that I have with myself is necessarily boring. I just mean that obviously that can be like a routine thing.
I was gonna say, babe,
Well, I mean,
with
sometimes I
yourself it's boring, you're doing something wrong.
no, I mean, obviously, there's like different reasons that you have sex with yourself, right? Sometimes you're just
Yes.
like, I just want to go to sleep,
Yeah,
so
sure.
make it happen. And
That
then sometimes it's, a
yeah,
fully
that kind of stuff I would put in the sixth house. Yes.
right.
The other kind of sex with yourself that is not boring, that
Sure.
is not a routine, I would put sort of in the seventh house, but even more so in the 12th.
Oh, that makes sense.
Um, because masturbation is not, unless you're us, is not necessarily
I'm
something
always
that you
up for that.
speak about publicly, that you let everyone know about yourself. It's a very private, very personal thing that you tend to hide from other people.
I'm bad at hiding sexuality.
It's also
Okay.
sort of maybe in the eighth house, because eighth house is taboo things. So depending on really the person I'm talking to,
Right.
so
Okay.
not in your chart. Like in your chart,
Okay.
I would not look at the eighth house for masturbation, because that is not a taboo for you. So,
No.
right? Okay, so seventh house is the romantic kind of sex, the sex that we have with our life partner, our soulmate, our person. That can be multiple people at the same time. By the way, it doesn't have to be just one, but that kind of um the kind of sex that is also connected with emotions, whereas like the fifth is not, right? And then the eighth house is all the considered darker things about. So there's kink, there can be masturbation in there, all of the things that are a little more taboo and a little more outside the norm is eighth house stuff. So that was just briefly for those who don't know shit about, about astrology. Why do I look at those houses? Now let's specifically look at what's going on in your chart. So, first of all, yes, very gay. You literally have Venus and Vesta conjunct in your eighth house. You are incredibly lesbian. um, you also have Pallas in your sixth house. So, that is the female brain. And that is literally the kind of intelligence that we can, in this binary society that we have, which is stupid, but unfortunately, that's what we have. We call it feminine, right? So yeah, very gay. Now, the compat stuff. I mean, the sun in your seventh house might be a little bit of that, because the sun represents like your entire personality, your entire like your core identity, specifically the way um like the parts of you that shine, so the parts of you that people will know about you, right, that are decently obvious, not as in your face as your ascendant or your first house would be, but like still the sun shines bright, so those parts of you are not hidden. And the sun is also very like um focused on what is expected of you,
Oh,
right? So on what society actually, especially if you have the sun in your seventh house and like so close to the descendant, which is literally the point of this is where other people enter your chart. This is where other people's energy and the society's energy enters your chart and affects you.
yeah. Okay.
So um that is the thing that I would say I see in your chart, is that to a certain degree at least that still affected you, and that does make sense because it affects all of us, because that is the society we live in. And like the expectation of a femme presenting person or a female presenting person is always that you have to have sex with men and be interested in men. That is
Yeah.
what we get taught.
I do think that it took a long time for me to. So I am somebody that, like, historically doesn't understand why you wouldn't just have sex with your friends, right? And I've also historically been someone where if somebody that I genuinely like as a person wants to have sex with me, I am probably like, not that I'm like, okay, fine, but like, I'm usually pretty like GGG with that.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I think it took me, so I always knew that women are beautiful. I fantasize about femme presenting people. I always have, if I'm going to look at porn, it's going to be female presenting porn. Um, I mean, not, it doesn't have to be high femme, but it's going to be, you know,
Mm-hmm.
femme leading people. Um, Sorry, my brain got stuck on porn.
That
Where am I
happens.
going? Um, oh, but I do think that it took me like kind of a stupid amount of time to be like, are you having sex with men because you want to be having sex with men? Or are you having sex with men because it's easy to have sex with men?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like a lot of the time, the answer is that it is easy to have sex with men. And I'm not saying that like, you know, I didn't genuinely love some of those men,
Sure.
but I don't know if it was, I don't know if it needed to be inherently sexual.
Mm-hmm.
And like I go back and forth with that. That's why I was like, can you see compet? And it would probably be
Yes.
messed up with religious trauma, which
Yes.
I have loads of.
And also, so the interesting thing is, so while you were talking, I actually looked at the aspects that your sun has, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Um, and this specific one, so the opposition to Black Moon Lilith over here, she's in
Yeah.
your 12th house. And we've talked about how the 12th house is the things that we tend to keep hidden.
Yeah.
Um, we sometimes even hide them from ourselves, is the interesting part. And Black Moon Lilith is specifically that energy. Black Moon Lilith is very gay. Black Moon Lilith is very kinky, very empowered. That makes sense to me. That like with this energy again, it's the tug of war. It's the this is what society expects of me. This is what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
And this is where I'm actually at, but this is hiding.
Sure.
So this is coming out
Yeah.
later in life, which sounds like I'm calling you old. I'm not, but like
I mean, I'm pretty old, so that's okay.
so yeah, that fully makes sense to
Okay.
me.
And I feel like I've asked you before, and you were just like, yeah, there's not a lick of bisexuality in there. Is
No,
that so? What you think?
no, it's not. There's not. None of this is bisexual. It's more of a society expects this of me, so I'm not even necessarily pretending, but like I'm playing my part because
Yeah.
questioning all of these things and digging real deep. And with Black Moon Lilith in your 12th house, you have to dig really fucking deep
Sure.
to discover, who you actually are.
I think I was just masking my way
Yeah.
all the way through to comp it.
The sun is very much about masking. Again, like the ascendant more so than the sun, but the sun still is also about the mask we put on, which
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it's necessarily fake. It's just the parts of ourselves that are out in the open. And that is the mask that we put on. And there's parts of ourselves that we hide underneath that.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, that makes sense.
Brilliant. Brilliantly.
Do you
Really
want to
done.
ask the gender question?
Yeah. So the gender question is a little like less faffy, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I know that we've talked before about that you can see in somebody's chart if they're going to go through a period where they're questioning their gender.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can see like what gender expression is going to be the most like comfortable for them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a non-binary lesbian, by the way.
Yes.
So does that mean then that you can look at someone's chart and be like, oh, I can see that your questioning of your gender is going to settle, and it's going to settle into something that you're comfortable with vaguely around.
Sometimes, yes.
Okay.
Again, it's more about like tendencies and possibilities.
Okay.
It's not completely written in stone. Like I can't make an absolute prediction of like, you will question your gender and at the age of 42, exactly, you will
Sure.
settle on this gender. So no, that does not work.
Okay.
But
I
yeah,
mean,
I can see tendencies.
okay. So since the answer to that was like a little faffier than I thought, do you want to um show why I'm like gender apathetic?
Yes. So the first thing is this situation right here. So you have Pluto, which is a very masculine placement, and the moon, which is basically the ultimate feminine planet. And by the way, yes, I'm using these binary descriptions to make things easier for people who are not super into either astrology or like the queer space, right? So yes, there's more than two genders. The gender binary is fucking stupid. And we all have both in us. We all have a huge spectrum. I just want to be very clear about that. But yes, so that is in binary terms, Pluto very male, Moon hyper feminine, and they are literally conjunct in your first house. Your first house is how you present to the world and like your personality and also the way you look literally is in your first house. So that is the first thing that is very, yeah, of course you're going back and forth because you're both. Like
Yeah.
you have both and they're always there and it's sometimes extremely hard to figure out. It might actually, because the moon is in there, it might actually be related to the fucking cycle of the moon. like
That tracks actually.
like
Because
wherever.
sometimes I am just randomly high femme, and then other
Yeah.
times I'm like, hey, I've turned up in Germany and I want to only dress like a German elderly man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It
Okay.
could legitimately just be that. And then also that situation is
Yeah.
opposite your sun, which is like society's expectations, as we've just covered, right? Not just that, obviously, but because we just talked about that, that is in there. So that is like a tug of war. Like I was born with these genitals, so society expects me to present in this way and to look this way, but like it's not who I am, or at least it's not all of me. So yeah, that is already incredibly non-binary. And because unfortunately you're not gonna like that. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. Because it's in your first house, that's never really gonna change.
Oh, it's okay.
So you're never gonna really like decide on a gender or a presentation or
Oh, that's okay. That's not something I super worry about. So that's
okay.
not upsetting to me. I just thought of the question today.
Yeah.
So not all
Yeah.
of these questions are going to be like me focused. It's just
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
easier for me to like think of a question because of other conversations that we've had. And
Yeah.
mostly the conversations that we've had have been about questions I've asked you about my own chart.
Yeah.
So
No, it fully makes sense. And I'm sure we'll also at some point gonna talk about my chart or like even celebrities' charts or something like that, right? And use
yeah.
those for examples.
And fictional characters
And
chart.
fictional characters. So yeah, I'm sure. Um, yeah. So I'm sure there's even more about it. Like you have this energy up here, which leans like more towards the more male presenting, and that is in your 11th house of community. So community gives you the freedom to actually explore that part of you more, which makes sense because you are part of a large queer community, right? But then also that is in a square, which is like a mini opposition. So not as big of a tug of war as the opposition, but similar with your hyper feminine and also hyper gay situation over here. So that's another one of those that has a very similar energy that is very tug of war. Like one day you're gonna lean more towards this, and then one day you're gonna lean more towards this. And probably specifically in queer spaces, you're gonna lean more into the mask presenting, non-binary presenting parts of yourselves, which
Yeah.
again makes sense, right? But then eighth house is like partnership and sexuality. And when it comes to that, you probably lean more towards a more femme side of yourself and like um
Yeah.
gay, obviously, too. Like
Sure.
definitely lesbian, definitely into women.
Yeah.
Um, so
Okay. Cool.
yeah. Does does that
Thank you.
answer your
That's
question?
it does. So
Awesome.
last question.
Okay, yeah. Hit me.
So last question is we've talked a lot ad nauseum, really, about the level of protections that I happen to have in my chart.
Mm-hmm.
This question is more about somebody who like doesn't have that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so could you look at somebody's chart
Mm-hmm.
and be like, okay, here are the ways that you are protected, but here's the holes in your protection. And more specifically, here are the largest holes, like so that that person could then go, okay, so this is something I need to do shadow work about. This is something I need to go to therapy about. This is something that I need to do like witchcraft about. Whatever your jam is,
Mm-hmm.
to like fill in the gaps in their protection.
Mm-hmm. I probably could. I think I'm actually for this one, gonna pull up my own chart.
Okay.
Um, I've never looked at that part of my own chart, so it's
Okay.
gonna
That's okay.
take me a second to actually. Okay, so first thing about my chart is like all of the more sort of protective planets, like those would be Saturn. Saturn is all the restrictions in our life, like all like Saturn is very strict and very um 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 I always use the phrase trials and tribulations for Saturn. Like I repeat that a lot because it fits so well. That is what Saturn is, trials and tribulations, the things that we need to overcome to grow, though. Like they always have a purpose. Like it's never just to fuck with you. It's always, there's a reason for the stuff Saturn does, but he doesn't do them gently, usually, depending on where he actually is in our chart, though.
Fair.
But like he's right in my first house. And then Uranus, which is like the rebel, is also right in my first house. So this is all to do with personality, and like this is very outward. So this is very protective. This is quite protective energy. But then looking at the other side of my chart, like this situation over here, my moon and my Chiron are sitting like right underneath the descendant. And again, the descendant is the point where things come to light that have been more underneath the surface, like
Yeah.
literally when it comes to personality and also relationship stuff. But it's also the point of our chart where the world, the outside world, the people around us affect us. And I have the asteroid of trauma
Okay.
conjunct the moon, which is like emotions. And
Emotional trauma.
yeah, so this is super, like I am so open to all of that, and that tracks because I do have a lot of emotional trauma, and specifically to deal with other people uh getting into that space and hurting that part of me.
Yeah.
um so looking at that, I would, if that wasn't my own chart, I would advise that person to specifically do protection um um against specifically like people, not just like the stuff that society does to you, or that the world or whatever. Yeah, what you
Yeah,
want to say something?
I do. So this is your sign to work on boundaries.
Yes, exactly. That's what it is. That's what it
Okay.
is. So it's because it's sixth house stuff, but like it's moving into the seventh house because it's so close to the descendant. So the seventh house does play a part. And this is all about relationships, and specifically relationships of our everyday life.
Yeah.
And this is where I need protection because I am wide open for abuse. And that tracks.
So that's a good
Unfortunately.
idea to get you a best friend that is like got crazy strict boundaries and is like, hey, what you doing? Don't do that.
Yes, which is exactly what I did. Uh, so I have
Yeah,
grown when it comes to those things.
massively,
Like,
massively.
right? So, uh, yeah, that makes sense. And then also, like, another thing is like, um, the sun is placed so deep, like it's literally at the lowest point in my chart right here, right? So
Yeah.
is also quite protective, right? And that protects like my core personality. And that is the reason why, even though all of this trauma and all of this abuse has happened to me in my life,
Yeah.
my core personality has not changed.
Not been damaged.
Like
Like in the way that it could
that
be.
has, yeah, that has always been the same. I have always been able to keep true to myself and to keep that like most precious part of myself protected.
Okay. Good job, babe.
Thank you. I'm very proud.
I am too. That sounded flippant. It was not flippant at all.
No, I know.
Um,
So, but again, those are things that are like I couldn't put this in a book, right?
sure.
If I
Yeah.
were to write a book explaining astrology, I couldn't go, well, whenever your Chiron is conjunct the moon right below your descendant, like that is
Yeah.
That is not a general thing. That is a very like personal thing, and I'd have to look at a chart individually and do an individual reading to
Yeah.
see those things. But yes, I can see them.
I mean, this is the Weird Astrology Questions podcast. This is not the learn astrology in a really
Yes.
linear way.
No, not at all. We're not doing that.
So we're doing the opposite of that, actually.
Yes. Yes.
So
There are podcasts like that out there. If you want to listen to podcasts to learn astrology, those are definitely out there. You can Google them, but that is not us.
yeah, this is weird chat astrology.
Yes.
So, okay, great. Well, those are the questions that I have for
Cool.
you today. So, were those the kind of questions that you wanted me to ask you today?
I mean, didn't have any expectations whatsoever
Okay,
because I never know what kind of questions you're gonna hit me with
that's how I
because
roll.
like I mean, sometimes you ask me questions like related to trauma and healing and boundaries and like
Sure.
really incredibly deep shit, and also related to what we did today, gender and sexuality, and things that can be silly but can also be really important and really deep.
Sure.
And then 5 minutes later, you ask me if I can see in my chart that today was the day that I would have my first taco. So
Okay. Well,
which actually, the more I say it, sounds like a euphemism.
it sounded like a euphemism this whole time. Like, I
Okay, so
hate to be
I'm
the one
only
to bring that
noticing
up
it
for you.
now.
Yeah, yeah. You have now caught up with the class. That's great. That's great. Okay, fantastic.
So
Well,
yeah, so I went in no expectations whatsoever, but I love the questions. Again, I'm super grateful that I can play around with these things with your chart and that you let me do that. Um,
yeah,
because like I said, I would never do that to a random person that wants me to do a reading for them unless they specifically ask for that type of stuff, because
sure.
why would I do that? That would be so rude.
Well, lucky for all of us, I am not shy. So,
Neither am I. At least
okay,
not when it comes to those things.
not with those things. Yeah.
No.
Okay, well, I'll ask you equally weird questions next time.
Awesome.
And we'll do this again. And
Yeah.
hopefully people enjoyed this and hopefully they learned some stuff, but also
Yeah.
hopefully it was just fun.
Yes. And probably by the time this comes out, there will probably be like links and infos in a description box if my business is actually online and stuff like that. So,
Yes, but also we're going to be really responsible and we're not going to post this until we've also
no.
made other episodes. So
Yes.
we
Yes.
promise
So,
we did one podcast and then forgot about it forever because of executive dysfunction. We're not going to do that because we are safeguarding against that problem,
yes.
by the way.
Yes. So, thank you for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you heard noises in the background just now, that was my cats going crazy. That happens sometimes. Okay. Bye.
Bye.